Yes, fish fans, it's only Bonesy, and welcome to another episode of Your Questions Answered. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for all the feedback we got for the very first episode, but not only that, all the questions that you guys have sent in for us to answer. So let's kick it off with the very first question.
Question 1.
So the first question is, what are my top 5 essential items kit-wise for winter fishing? Well, the first 3 sort of link together, and it's all about layering for me. You know, when you're out on the bank, there's nothing worse than being cold. And, you know, if you're cold, then you're not comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then you're not fishing well. So to start off with, my first item would be a Reax base layer. The Reax base layers are a lovely, close to the skin thermal underlayer, and what this does is it keeps your body nice and warm. It stops any sweat. When you sweat, it wicks the sweat away from you, dries really quickly. I then follow that with a 2-piece undersuit. This is a nice undersuit. I've actually got one on now. This is the top part, has a nice hood with some toggles, a zip up bit if you just need a little bit of space around your body, and this acts as my mid layer. Then onto that I'd move on to a 3-piece core suit. The reason I like the 3-piece is because there is an added fleece in there, and the added fleece, you know, some days when it's a little bit warmer in the day than what you're expecting, but still a little bit too cold to drop down to just your mid layer, the fleece layer could be a real added bonus. So the first 3 items have to be a base layer, mid layer, and then obviously a core suit as your top outer layer. Moving on, then it has to be, I'm a bit of a wimp, I do love a hot water bottle. It's something that I've always took fishing with me in the winter. You know, as a child I grew up with my nan's house never had central heating. You know, back then a lot of houses didn't, and we always had a hot water bottle. And there's something so good about, you know, you get into bed and sometimes your toes are a bit cold. Being able to push a hot water bottle down there and warm up is just the best feeling in the winter. So yeah, item number 4 has to be a hot water bottle. And then number 5 for me, got to be a kettle. I don't think I could live on the bank without having a kettle anyway, but in the winter there is nothing better than making yourself a nice hot coffee in the morning or a hot chocolate in the evening. You know, when you started chilling down a little bit and you want something nice and warm inside you, yeah, a kettle. That has to be my 5th essential item for the winter.
Question 2.
So question 2 is, upgrading from an SLX Pram Hood style bivvy to a Tempest, what would I recommend? Well, if I was recommending at the minute, I would recommend nothing other than the brand new DPM Tempest X. It's what I'm using myself. It's an incredible bivvy, and it comes as a complete package. So you're getting a skull cap wrap in there, you're getting an inset panel, you're getting a ground sheet, you're getting the bivvy itself and all the pegs and everything you need, and it is a fantastic bivvy, great package, and the material is second to none. But if your budget can't stretch to something like that, take a look maybe at the Tempest Brolly. So you've got the advanced Brolly made out of the EV material, or you've got the standard Brolly made out of our 210D polyester. If you are slightly taller, then the Tempest 100 Brolly T, that gives you a little bit more headroom. But the nice thing about the Brolly is, which helps your budget, is you can buy it all separate. So you buy just the Brolly on its own, then you can add the ground sheet, the infill panel, the mozzie panel, and the skull caps and skull caps wraps. So I hope that answers your questions, but for me, if I was going for it now, I'd be looking at the bad boy DPM Tempest X.
Question 3.
Question 3 is, how do I keep bites coming in the winter months? Well, there's a few things that you can do. If you're fishing on the same lake, keep in touch with the same lake. So make sure you're down there as much as possible. If you're not able to get a night fishing or even an afternoon or day fishing, then just wander down, have a little wander around, chat to the guys. Fish tend to stay in the same sort of areas in the winter. So if you see that someone has been catching, then that might be a good area to target next time you go down. So yeah, definitely staying in tune with the venue that you are fishing is a real good way of keeping the winter bites coming. The other way, obviously, is to keep going. Being in tune with what the fish are doing, what the water's doing, what the temperature's like is another real good way of keeping the bites going. Other than that, I tend to scale down a little bit. A lot of like match anglers, so you watch the guys from our frenzy team through the winter months, they really scale down to very small little method feeders, just some 2mm pellet with a small wafter, and they're catching double-figured carp like that through the winter months on the match venues. So scaling down, and don't ignore those winter match venues, because if you're just looking for a bite in the winter from the carp and it's not necessarily about catching big fish, then check out some of the winter venues that the match anglers sit on.
Question 4.
Question 4 is, would I choose solid bags over singles at this time of year? For me, it's going to be solid bags now. Again, I like that little parcel of bait. You're not putting lots of disturbance in, lots of spodding, lots of things like that. Single baits to me, I've never been a big single bait angler. I like to put a little bit of bait in, or I like to know I've got some freebies there to attract the fish in. So yeah, solid bags. The bonus about them is, you know, you can have lots of them tied up, ready in a box with lead core ready on. So all you've got to do, simple loop method, and you're able to put a bag straight back out on the spot. Or alternatively, in the winter, if you're just wandering around on a day session, again, you cast out, you haven't had a bite, you reel back in, it's a simple change, back round you go. You're not changing hook baits or anything, it's all ready in the bag, fresh bait, little squirt of something like goo or some extra little attraction in there, bosh, out you go, hopefully bag a fish on the bank.
Question
5.
So the last question is, what is my most embarrassing moment on the bank? And I can't believe I'm actually going to relay what actually happened. So I was down on Thorny Weir, I was fishing the night. I think there was only me on there at the time. It's quite a long time ago. And I got a mosquito in my ear and dialed 999. That's right, I dialed 999 for a mosquito being in my ear because I was panicking that it was going to get to my brain. It landed in my ear, and the first thing I've done is stick my finger in my ear, which has pushed it down, but also semi-killed it. So it was making a noise, it was going meh, 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 and it literally felt like this mosquito was in the middle of my head. So I've panicked, not knowing what to do, didn't know what to do, so I dialed 999. It was the middle of the night. You were talking, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been swatting the mozzies away from me. And to be fair to the 999, they said it was the right thing to do. So in my defense, I did the right thing. The lady explained to me I need to lay on my side, bit of tissue of water, squeeze water into my ear so that I could try and wash it out and then visit the hospital next to me. But yeah, it's quite an embarrassing moment to have had such a panic, and not knowing biology that well, I thought the mosquito could have possibly got to my brain. So there we go, my most embarrassing moment, which I can't believe I've actually divulged, but never mind. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Questions Answered. Don't forget, if you've got any questions for us, to drop them in the comments below. And more importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with more epic stuff coming from us guys at Trakker.